you turn 60 and you don't do your Kegels, things start to fall out of your fucking vagina. I found a watch in an old map of LA.
Has anyone in this room ever raised a teenager? Clap if you've raised a teenager. 3 of them, okay. And clap for yourselves, 5 of them. Oh my, so back me up on this. Here's what happens. You have this little baby that's so wonderful and cute, and they're walking then, and then they're 9 and they're learning math, and it's all so great. And they turn into a teenager and they change, don't they? And you don't get a warning, do you? No warning. I remember I'm cleaning out my 16-year-old daughter's bedroom. It's hard for me to say. I found a box of condoms in her room. I know, talk about a change. I didn't even know she had a dick. Whoa! When did that happen?
Hello everyone. Hi. What you just heard was Carole Montgomery and our special guest, Barb North, doing their stand-up comedy thing. Barb is the first bi-coastal guest we've had, and I figured it was appropriate because I don't know what that means, but it's episode 7. Woo! And I'm gonna have to do that again because I pressed. There we go. There's my special episode 7 sound effect. I was so happy I found that. It means nothing to anyone but me.
Good that you're comfortable with it.
Hello. It's good that we're episode 7 because Carole and I started our relationship gambling.
That's what I was going to ask you. But first, hi, Carole. How you doing?
I'm here. I'm tired, but I'm 66, so I'm tired. So if I'm tired, Barb's even more tired. But
yeah,
Barb,
I'm 77.
Right, but the thing is, I always want to be Barb when I grow up because Barb, no matter what I do, but Barb is always effervescent. She's always happy. So, and I'm just kind of like, I'm fine. I'm drinking my water. What do you want? Well, fuck you people.
I'm here. So, shut up.
Yes.
Leave me alone.
Yes.
So you met gambling?
No, we didn't meet gambling, but she turned me on to, I was already a gambler, but she turned me on to triple hand poker. So, and I'm still addicted. She goes fine. She walks away from it. She leaves Vegas.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Barb's talking as if like she's really like this high roller girl. She does pennies.
Yeah. Oh, nickels with poker.
Oh, nickels with poker. Oh, excuse me. You're not,
nickels.
You're not a high roller, but she does nickels. So when you win like a big jackpot, it's like $3.02.
Yeah, but I'm not a high roller, but sometimes I'm high when I'm rolling. So
yes.
Wow. So now this is a good intro to Barb North. Barb is Carole's manager. Is that correct?
Yes, she's my manager. She's my business partner. She's one of my closest friends. She's my Yoda. When I find myself in times of trouble, not Mother Mary, Mother Barb comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. No, Barb is an all around. Basically, we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
We
were on the first panel ever of women in comedy. The first time they ever did a panel of women in comedy, which was like 30 years ago.
Right.
There were 4 of us. No, there were actually, but we have one from each decade.
Right.
Joanne Worley was on it. She was the decade ahead of me, and then Carole, and then Ludovica.
Right. So we've been friends all these years, and we've always wanted to work together. But I always said to Barb, 15% of zero is not a lot of money for the people who are listening.
Right.
That's zero. So when I finally got the specials going, we got the 3rd special, and Barb came to that. But it was very stressful taping the last special. And after we were done with that, we both at the same time, remember we both did that? We should talk.
Yeah.
And then we decided to go into business together. And there's stuff happening right now that we cannot announce right now. But when we
close.
do, we're very
close
close
to announcement.
But Barb, thank goodness that Barb did it, because otherwise it never would have happened. So, and Barb, besides all of this, an amazing businesswoman, but a pretty damn funny woman in her own right. And so one of the reasons I wanted to have her on the show was because she has a whole different idea of comedy because she started it was in the 70s, right, Barb?
It was in the 70s. I started with my husband as a team. So I could get in the door because I had a guy next to me.
Wait
but
a minute.
Then there
were
was
you
the
captain
prejudice
canoe?
against teams. So my husband and I were a team for many years, and then we wrote and produced and worked in television. And along all of this way, we've taught stand up as well. So we always have classes performing. So about 15 years ago, Steve was tired of hosting with me. So he'd sit in the front row and make comments, and I would host.
Yep.
So Carole got me back into. I've never stopped going on stage because always at least every 2-3 weeks I would host a show. But she got me back into doing sets with her.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
And it's fun, but it's a ton more work.
Well, yeah. Of
Well,
course
just
it
You
is.
got to put a set together. When you're hosting, just shit comes out of your poop.
Right, and also you have to bring your husband with you because he's part of the stuff. Like when you're in the
Right,
audience,
he yells things out.
right? So so we're doing a show in Livermore at the end of October, and Barb is on the show, and it's like, oh great, now we have to have Steve with us again.
I think you were the only comic I've ever met.
Huh?
I think you're the only comic I've ever met who brings your own heckler.
Yes, that's yeah. The thing that he likes to participate in a couple of lines. One of which is when I tell the audience that I'm confused and because the doctor told me to give Steve he has bad dandruff. The doctor told me to give him Head and Shoulders. I can't figure out how to give him shoulders, and he will yell from the audience. She can't figure out the other one either.
Barb has a great story about being in the writer's room as a woman.
Oh.
You know which one I'm talking about, Barb?
Yes, I do know what you're talking about. So back in the day, we were head writers for the Gong Show, among other shows. And back in the day, there were not women in the writers' rooms. So the guys would come up to me and they'd be talking about their girlfriends or something. And they'd go, I don't get this. Barb, if you were a woman, would you? Like, okay, I get that. But they totally would, talk locker room talk. And they didn't mind if I was there. But
Charming.
it was a really interesting room.
Yeah.
Is that the story you wanted? Or
Yes, I love that story.
Yeah.
If you were a woman.
If you were a woman.
I remember getting this when I was working with Eddie Brill one time, and I forgot. And he said to me, he goes, Carole, we don't consider you a comedian. We just consider you a comedian. Because comedian is female, and it's like, how about we're just women?
Yeah.
How about that? Have you heard? Just to go a little political, so you heard about the newest thing that the Republican person running for Senate in Ohio is like, well, I don't understand why women over 50 would care about what's happening with abortion.
Oh, geez.
I'm like, are you?
Even more important, because that's not when we want to be reproducing.
Exactly.
We got that 10-year gap there.
Yeah.
No.
We don't want to be doing that shit anymore. So anyway,
Really?
Shelly, please ask questions.
Okay, Barb, what does a comedy manager do?
Stays up very late at night and takes the phone calls.
Okay.
The reason that Steve and I started managing people is that we were teaching classes and we had a manager and we were doing so much of that, and some of those people were getting good and they needed representation. And so we would introduce our manager to them as their grand manager. There's your grand manager. Generations of men. There's so many parts. Because we have a background in stand-up and writing, we can help with the writing, we can help with the jokes. We can help talk off the ledge because we understand the ledge really well. We've been on it most of our lives. And the other thing is that we made all the mistakes.
Uh-huh.
So we can say to our clients, don't do that. We already did that. That turned out very badly. So it's just, we work with a small group of comedians, but we've worked with them forever and love them. And we're all aging, but we're not aging out.
Right.
And when Carole came up, Carole is my closest comedy friend.
Nice.
There's just no getting around it. We're two of a kind, and we spend many, many hours together, laughing, screaming, hugging, doing all that we do. But it's just it's a personal manager, so it's a personal relationship. And I always say the difference between a manager and an agent is the time of day you get the phone calls.
That's very true.
So then there's some overlap between being a manager or being an agent?
There isn't a lot of an agent tends to represent a lot more people and represents them in a certain area. A manager works, we're doing the career planning, the career development, helping make decisions. I don't care if a gig is going to pay nothing, if it's going to help your career. For me, any way that I can help and support my comedians, I do, and they're all different.
And I have to tell you, I think Shelly, that I'm quick to jump to immediate wanting to kill somebody.
I have gleaned that. Yes.
We do a little interference that way. We do. We don't give her semi-automatic weapons when she feels like that.
No, seriously. I mean, I love guns, but one of the reasons I will never have a gun is because I live here in the city, and somebody who just bumped into me, I'm like, that's it, say goodbye. I have a quick trigger in general. Like I was talking about this recently. I think it was with Leanne. I said most people run away from conflict. I run towards it like a fucking moth to a flame. So Barb is the one that goes. Barb basically says we shouldn't do that.
I say let's unpack this.
Yeah,
the thing I do on the side and have done for quite a few years is that I'm also a mediator. So I do training with conflict management. So Carole and I are a good fit.
Yeah,
I would say, that explains that. My next question was, how do you manage Carole Montgomery? And apparently,
that's the thing. Each one of my clients is managed differently. Yeah. But we're in the world of comedy. We have a different standard. I always enjoyed Carole when she was raising her kid. We raised our kids together, though mine is a bit older than Lane, because I'm a bit older than Carole. But I always loved the fact that the kids could swear in her house as long as it was funny.
Right. and what's funny about that is Lane is the most polite, kind human being, and people go, is this your son?
Are you sure you reproduce
this is your son? Because he doesn't curse. He doesn't immediately. I said, well, that's his father's side.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Yep.
And as couples, we're very good friends as well. We just love each other. Yeah. It's just kind of cool. And when Carole got this idea, it was brilliant. I don't know how else to say it, because it was the first time female comedians got to work together.
Yep.
Because it was always one woman on the bill, and when I was in a team, it was one woman, one team, a guy's there. So I was the first woman that ever did the show Make Me Laugh because I was part of a team.
Yeah.
We were the first team on it, but it was like, that gave me a pass.
Right.
But it's just the way the women in comedy thing developed. Like we weren't funny in that, like Kamala Harris becoming black.
Right.
We chose comedy later in life. It was like, you are who you are and you do what you do. Absolutely. But it was it was a different time, shall we say?
Yeah.
But it was different, Barb. It was absolutely different. But it's still, and one of the reasons I came up with the show is that it really still is that way, because there was the time, right? I want to say it was like right as we were coming back out of the pandemic, and I forgot who the comic was. It was a woman, she had posted on one of the social media sites, goes, "Oh, this is fun." It was a weekend in LA, and she goes, and all of the top 3 clubs, there was not a woman on the show.
That's
Do you remember
true.
when that happened?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember when that happened when we came back from trying to come back from COVID, and that was really pointed out. And there are a lot of women that are bookers, and they're on our side. It's not.
Right.
I'm not. It's just that there still is a mentality of, oh, we have our person of color. Oh, we have our woman. We're fine. That's
Right.
that. And if they could get a woman of color, then they could kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think what happens to the women who are bookers, and we won't get into the clubs and everything, but I know specifically who Barb's talking about. She's a huge champion of women, but sometimes it's not even that. It's that somewhere higher up, there's somebody saying, we want these people. Because I can't believe I'm mentioning him twice in one show. But Eddie Brill used to say to me, he goes, "Carole," he goes, "I can bring," when he was booking the Letterman show, he says, "Carole, I can bring David all the women, I could bring all the female comics and all the diversity comics, but it's up to Dave." In the end, it was always Dave's, he was the one that had to give the okay to it. And, in the end, they still don't want to use us. What are we going to do?
Yeah. But the funny women is really what I notice about it that's so fun, even though I bring Steve, is we make him drive. Listen. And I have to say, people, because I do beat him up in our act.
Oh, yes.
But people go, "Oh, he's such a good sport." And I'm like, yeah, because he wrote half this stuff. But getting together we just have a really good time.
Oh, yeah.
It's just really, really fun. And everybody's got their road stories, and everybody's got their weird stories. And, a lot of us have children. More and more I'm seeing in LA, a lot of women in our age group are coming back to stand up too. Yep. That raised their kids, or they had a writing job, or they did something else. And you just miss it. It's such an addictive sport, shall we say.
Yeah. No, I did an open mic last week. I needed to get on stage, so I did this mic, and it was at it was West Side Comedy Club, which, Carole, it's a nice place. It was mid-afternoon. It was 3 women, counting me, and 7 men, I think. And all of the women went last. That's just how it happened. Anyway, so one of the comics was a young English guy from England, because that's where they keep them. And he was talking to me afterward, and he said, there's so few women in comedy in the UK. And I looked at him and was like, less than here? He said, yeah, because I go to mics, and I've gone to some shows this week, and I see a whole lot of women, and I'm thinking, wow, man, I don't ever see that. I see a show with 1 woman on it, like you were saying, or no women on it. But apparently it's worse across the pond. So anybody who's thinking about going to England or Scotland, going to the UK to try to have a comedy career, don't be female. That's what I'm saying.
Well, there are ways you can change that now.
Yeah, but I also I have to disagree with this guy, because I know. I mean, we've been trying to get the show over. We've been trying to get the show to England, try to get it out of the States, and people are like, would you bring? I say, yeah, I bring some of the Americans, but there's a lot of female comics out there. But he probably, of course he's saying that. But I think women of a certain age would kill out there.
Oh, sure.
Just because there's plenty of older women. There's older women everywhere, but I think in the UK it would do really well. But that's interesting that he said that he thinks there's a lot more women out here. It's interesting. I think there are more women in general, because whenever I teach now, most of the class is female.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know what that is. So,
well, it's possible that it was just what he was exposed to, that same situation that I walked into, room with 7 men and 3 women. Perhaps that's all he sees is,
right.
In the UK, maybe it's 8 men and 2 women. at the mics or the shows that he goes to.
Right.
Nevertheless,
I'm gonna mute myself for a second because Todd's about to walk in from work, and I don't want to. The dog's
What
gonna
does
go.
he pass gas loudly or what?
No, but the dog's gonna get all excited, and there's gonna be a whole thing. So I'm just gonna. I don't even know how to mute myself on this. Oh, there it is. Up there it is. I mute.
She's
yeah,
mute.
you did it. Congratulations.
She muted. This is a really amazing time. Carole has learned to mute herself, which is what we've been working on for years. So we both have very big mouths. I'm not going to blame it all on her. We both have very big mouths. I just exercise mine at different places.
Okay, Todd went into the other room. He said hello.
Okay.
Yes, we do have very big mouths. So,
Yes.
but Barb does know how to do it better than I do.
The thing about there is something so unique about women that have, and I lay down amazing respect because, like I said, I had the guy on my arm, or he had the woman on. It was more of a strain on him that he had me than that I had him.
Wow.
Because the guy hangout thing was different, and all of that kind of stuff was different. So our early years were.
One of the things we try to do with the specials, and we could never get, it was really interesting. We always, to me, the more fun stuff was watching the girls backstage. And we could never get, because I had, first of all, I had a female director, female stage manager. We had female camera people. But for some reason, the camera person that was in the back recording was always a guy. And he had no idea what he was doing. Like, he didn't understand to just basically keep the camera on us and let us do what we do. So at some point, I would like that. I would love to show the other side of what it's like when women work together. Because, Shelly, you haven't seen it when we did the crane. You know, I mean, there's just more fun backstage.
Yeah, we just, it's so new and wonderful to us. I think it's like, I was born Jewish and raised Catholic, and I went to Catholic school. And I always like to say that, I was the only Jew in Catholic school. And so they cast me, all these Catholic girls, they cast me as the Virgin Mary because, there are all these Catholic girls and me, the only virgin. So the point is being that person, the outside person, the Jew in Catholic school, the this and that, all of those things. That when I actually, I married a Jew, I'm in the Jewish world again, and it was like, that's the way it is with women. It's like with comedy, it's so wonderful. Like, I never saw another woman in the writer's room. And now there are so many women in the writer's room, both comedy and drama in our business. And it's like, they were the PAs and the directors and all those people were guys, and it's changed enough that it's just a joy. It's like we found each other, all these people that were scattered about.
Yep.
And that's what the fun is backstage. When it's like, we knew each other in passing. None of us knew each other as intimately as we do now.
Yep.
And it's such a joy to be able to find women that have some of the same background.
Yeah.
Well, that's very cool. That's very cool. Now, I do want to ask you, Barb. I was looking at your CV, and I noticed that in your special skills, you mentioned hula hoop.
Are you kidding me?
These days? No,
I've
seriously.
got hula hoop on my special skills. That just tells you how old I am. I haven't updated anything
since you were 9.
Oh my God!
I think is that on Actors Access or one of those?
I don't even remember. I was just.
But what it is they tell you to check things off, and I probably did that 124 years ago, and that's when the hula hoop was invented.
So not much call for it these days, is that what you're saying?
I mean, you have to update things when you're this old. It's like I had to take at some point. I had to take Gleam toothpaste out of my act. It just isn't there anymore. I panna, brusha.
Oh my God, Gleam. Oh my God. People who are listening to this are going, what are they talking about?
See, I know. You got to be careful. So thank you for pointing that out. And as soon as I figure out how to get online and change that, I will
You can't just
work
wipe
on
it
that.
off. It doesn't work.
I got the tech husband that,
Oh, that's
you
what he's there
know,
for.
it's like I have to learn that stuff. The husbands have, here's what happened last night. I swear to God. So our dishwasher broke and the husband is now in charge of the dishes, which is incredible.
Right.
So he says, I have to wash all these dishes. It's a full dishwasher. I guess I better go get a towel to put them on, which I thought was brilliant. He knew to do that because the rack is not going to hold everything that was in the dishwasher. After he washes them, he's going to put them on a towel. I go into the kitchen and I recognize the towel. And I said, is this the towel that was hanging next to the shower that you were using in the shower? He's like, yeah. We don't put clean dishes on body towels that have already been used. You know,
why not? You get out of the shower, you're clean, right?
That's his thinking. Yes, that's his thinking.
Okay.
So the fact that he doesn't know, I don't blame myself for not knowing the tech shit. You know, that's all I'm saying. I'm in charge of clean towels.
Man. Well, you know what? It's a marriage of equals.
It is.
Everyone brings something important to the table, or the bathroom, or the kitchen, or wherever. It's a marriage of equals.
I mean, it's all the way across the other side of the house to go get that towel. I just thought that was amazing.
He made the effort.
Listen, I stay with Barb whenever I've been there. I know he could have walked to the guest bathroom and gotten one of the guest towels.
Yes, next to the kitchen. You mean that one?
Yes, yeah. He could have gone there. There are guest towels in there.
He was probably worried that you would yell at him for using the guest towels.
That's true.
Oh, that's a possibility. See, and I try not to yell. I try to be patient because I learned. This is what I try to teach here.
Right, that's where the mediation comes in.
Honey, you know all the skin that you're wiping off yourself when you get out of the shower?
By the way,
just put it in all the glassware.
Remind me not to check it. Maybe next time I'm there, I'm going to rinse all the plates before I eat at your house.
Yeah. They'll rotate if you don't come too soon. But yeah. The other thing is every time we open a bottle of wine for her, because we are not big drinkers, it takes 3 or 4 bottles before we find one that isn't vinegar, isn't it?
It was so. She gets all these her clients and industry people send her this stuff. She goes, "Oh, we had this one." And literally, we opened up so many bottles of wine, and they all tasted like piss. It was
and it took like 4 or 5 bottles. It can take quite a few bottles. So she's my only wine drinker.
Yeah, so basically, I was like, let's just go around the corner and get some heroin because I can't be drinking.
Stand out on the street corner here in the suburbs because that's where they're selling it.
Well, you have to make sure that the spoon is clean, though. It doesn't have skin flakes on it, because if you inject the skin flakes, well, it's a whole other story. Let me not go into
that.
Okay. My husband, who is standing here, heard this conversation, is just took the bath towel out and he's wiping a dish with the bath towel.
Steve, huh?
Okay,
just for Steve. He's using the bath mat.
He's doing the bath mat.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, Todd, you're well trained by Steve.
First of all, he walked past, and I'm like, why is he walking past? I'm like, what is he fucking doing?
Well, the reason that I have to get off the call, that I can't have a call with you, is that Steve has a playoff game, and Steve and Todd both play softball.
Yes.
And they keep having to have surgeries and things to keep them in one piece to do it. Yeah. But they're men of a certain age, and they're hanging together. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
All
okay.
Right.
Now, wait. I got. There's one other thing I need to tell you, Barb, and that is that for every episode so far, our guest has been given an honorific. Okay. Carole is Her Grace. Leanne is Her Majesty. I happen to be the only one who actually does have a title, and I am a Baroness. So, Barb, I think we're going to have to call you Your Eminence.
Ooh, I like that. I like.
Does that work for you?
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm so honored to be an eminence.
Yes, I think
that's
is perfect for Barb.
Do you have a urination for it? Is it a ceremony.
A urination, a coronation.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
A
so
marination.
just because you're a woman of a certain age, we do not have to talk about your pee habits. It's really fine. We don't have to do that. But no, unfortunately, this is all honorary. You don't get a
Your
hat or
Eminence.
anything. Yeah, yeah. But I figured because of the whole Catholic thing,
Oh,
maybe.
great. Yeah, because I was born Jewish, raised Catholic, baptized
Yeah.
Lutheran, and confirmed Episcopal.
Oh, okay. We might have to take the hat away then.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how it is.
I want the eminence. That I am so excited about this.
Good.
Your eminence. It's
Yes,
not and it's not even an eminence, a feminine of eminence, right? It's just straight eminence.
That is correct.
Your
That is
eminence.
correct. That is
Okay,
correct.
cool.
So now, what do you have coming up, Barb? You're working on something secret that we can't talk about.
We have something very, very big coming up for Funny Women, and people are going to be able to see the shows in wonderful ways. Cool. And a bunch of touring. We're breaking into all those markets like Palm Springs, and where old people live.
Palm Springs, we're going to be doing the nursing homes. We're going to do a whole tour.
We're going to do a whole thing, and then we're going to stay. One day we're just going to stay there.
It's going to move in.
It's nice. Barb, you want to stay here? Yeah, let's stay in this one.
But the touring is, Carole's always there at the tours. And then depending on who lives close by and depending on who's available, we just keep finding more amazing women that are this age. And it's just such a separate view of life. It is, we're not quite at the don't buy green bananas stage, but we're approaching it.
I don't know what that means.
That means that you don't want to buy something that's not going to be ready to eat in a few days.
I see. Okay. Got it.
Because but it's such a different view of life now.
Yeah.
Because every day's a gift. I'm 77 years old. I'm a child of the 60s. I never expected to be in my 60s. So here I am, 77, and it's like, no one prepares you for this. I just heard a thing of a woman talking about talking about all the hairs that grow in your head, and then she was talking about trying to get a hair off of her lapel and discovered it was attached to her chin. It's like we don't know these things are going to happen. It's like, picture you're a teenager, you're becoming a teenager, and no one can tell you what it feels like.
Right.
I mean, now you have parents that can tell you. No one tells us this. There's spots all over my hand now. I'm wearing a mask to sleep. When did that happen? I need earplugs because the guy next to me, who used to be really hot, is snoring. It's it's like all of this changes, and we just have to learn to be just grateful every day. Right. We're still here. So I'm glad we're doing this today, because who knows what tomorrow brings.
Oh, that's true. So that means I better get it edited and up on the air before you expire. We can't have that.
No, it can be a memorial. The problem is we don't know our expiration date. That would be simple. Just tell us the expiration date, or tell us what percentage we're done. Tell us, you're 70%. If I knew I'm 77, but I'm only 30% in, that's an entirely different view than I'm 97% in.
Right? True.
So I'm working on that.
Okay.
How do you get that information? Artificial intelligence can help us.
Oh, Lord, please. No.
Yes, mine's been artificial for years. So
hey. I wish I'd known that was coming. I would have had another sound effect for it.
Oh, ba-dum-bum.
Exactly. Now, Carole, I want to ask you real quick, how did your solo show go?
I'm doing it actually. I'm doing it this weekend.
Yeah.
Right. I'm looking at the calendar
wrong. So what I decided to do is I was supposed to do it for 2 nights, and I decided that was just too much pressure for me right now. So I'm doing I'm doing it in a solo show festival, and so it's only going to be like 50 minutes. So there's less pressure to actually put on a full show. So I'm rescheduling the New York one till sometime later down in the year, or maybe next year. And then one of the things we were thinking about is possibly having like an invited only like a salon in the apartment because we have enough space now that we could probably seat about 10 or 12 people, and then just get people's
feedback.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's with everything that has happened over the last few months, it's just been very hard to focus. I feel like I'm finally not walking on quicksand anymore and like, oh, right, I have a brain.
Yeah.
I have a career. Let me go do this. Yeah. And then the show that we're doing, that Barbara and I are doing with Monique Marvez and Julia Scotti, is October 26th at the Livermore Performing Arts Center in Livermore, California, which is a suburb of San Francisco.
Oh, cool!
It's a great venue. This is our third time back. We sell out every time, so that's the show to see because we're going to have a blast.
Oh,
awesome!
Yeah. We're very excited about that.
I will, Barb. I will make my effort because I'm not so technologically advanced or adept either. But I will find a way to link that to this somehow if I have to draw it on in crayon.
Okay.
So everybody,
crayon is good. Yeah, I think we used
sure.
to have a president that used magic markers to predict storms. So I think crayon is more effective. It's more real,
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's it's more there's more tactile. Don't you think?
Yes.
Crayon?
Crayon's excellent. Crayons are an excellent move. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, Your Eminence, for making the time.
Oh my Eminence! Oh my God, I'm so excited. I have to do an e-blast.
Absolutely, and when you're changing your resume everywhere, you're going to have to add that.
I'm going to add Eminence and take away hula hooping.
Right.
Yeah. Because I don't even know if I can do it anymore.
I tried to do a hula hoop last year, and it was just embarrassing. Fortunately, I was by myself, and as far as I know, I wasn't being watched because I didn't hear any laughter.
Well, Steve and I are in a commercial that I had to knit.
Uh-huh.
We were playing old people for Meals on Wheels, and I had to knit, and it's like bicycle. It turns out it's like a bicycle. You can knit. You can remember to knit.
A bicycle?
Huh? You knit on a bicycle.
You knitted a bicycle?
Yes.
I knitted a bicycle. Yes, that's what I was here to tell you. I've knitted a bicycle.
She's very talented.
Knitting is like riding a bike. You don't forget.
Okay.
Cool.
But hula hooping is very different because I remember how, but the hips don't do it no more.
Nope.
Yeah, well, I have to go find out. I don't even know where to buy one.
I'm sure wherever you get your yoga mat, you can probably also get a hula hoop.
That's where it is. Okay.
Right.
Once I get a yoga mat.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So thank you, Your Eminence, and thank you, Your Majesty. I'm sorry, Your Grace.
Your Grace and Your Eminence. Okay.
Yes, we will speak again soon. And all of this stuff will be linked on the Spotify page. And once again, follow these women, follow Barb North, follow Carole Montgomery, not necessarily in person, but if you want to, that's fine. Follow them online. We'll put all of their stuff on the thing with the thing and the stuff.
With the thing, and then that goes into the thing.
And this is all uploaded, so we don't have to. Do we have to stop and then wait for it to upload?
No, you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
We don't have to do anything. We like things that we don't have to do anything, and then send checks.
What you do have to do, though.
I've been trying my whole life.
Okay, there's one thing you have to do.
What?
Okay.
Stop talking.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.